if you'd be able to speak a little bit about the work you do with the Italy-Asean Association,
Yeah.
what you've done in the past and perhaps what we can expect next year.
Yeah, I don't know if you know something already, but I give you a general overview. The Italia-ASEAN Association has been founded by Enrico Letta 5 years ago, in exactly in this period. So we are now celebrating our 5th anniversary, and the foundation came along with the first visit of the first European head of state, at the moment the president of our republic, Mattarella, who visited the headquarters of the ASEAN organization in Jakarta. And at that time, Enrico Letta had the idea of putting together a group of big companies, Italian big companies, and all the institutions dealing with the relation with the ASEAN, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Bank of Italy, and all the other institutions working with trade, working on trade or internationalization, and decided to focus the attention on a region that at that moment in Italy was not very much on the radar, but the idea was visionary, because after only 5 years now we realized how important the ASEAN region became, and which will be the role that the ASEAN countries will play also in the future. After 5 years, as a country, we reached this important goal of having been accepted as a strategic partner of the ASEAN organization, and that occurred in September this year. And this has been one of our we can consider it one of our successes, because through what we have done in this year at the institutional level, we could push in this direction also our institutions, and we could and we obtained this important outcome. We work as Italia-ASEAN Association. We are not for profit, so we are doing, so to say, institutional lobbying. So we really try to put together institutions in Italy and in the ASEAN region. And our goal is in the next future, starting from the next months, to work more and more also at European level. Because due to my personal experience and due to the experience of our president Enrico Letta, we have a very strong connection with all the European institutions, and we consider the fact that we cannot act as an association, as a country, without being very much connected with the rest of the European Union. And so for this reason, we really want to connect with other sister organizations around Europe, with all the European institutions dealing with the ASEAN region. And so our aim is really to become more and more European.
I'll mute my thing. I see. So could you provide some more context between how Italy and ASEAN relations have improved this year, and how do you expect that to be moving ahead next year?
Yes, as I told you, the biggest and the most important relation has been this at institutional level, has been this strategic partnership with the ASEAN. But of course, we are also experiencing the positive outcomes, the first positive outcomes of the entry into force of the two FTAs signed by the European Union, with Singapore first and with Vietnam, especially with Vietnam. Mm-hmm. We have to say that, of course, the relation with the ASEAN region is not homogeneous, is not still homogeneous. So we really tried to, and we are trying to keep an eye on the entire region. But of course, as you perfectly know, all the countries are very different, and so we also have bilateral relations. And in the last year, also thanks to the fact that one of our activity is the high-level dialogue that we organize with the European House of Rossetti, and it's the biggest event that Italy ever organized in the ASEAN region. And last year we had, and normally we organized it in rotation in the different capitals. The first one was in Jakarta, the second one in Singapore, and the third one was in Hanoi. And the third edition was really a huge event because we brought there the top level representative of the Italian system, including the Prime Minister, and with more than 500 people representing different organizations. And that was really one of the signals that Italy was pushing in this direction, and it was pushing this relation. So this what we see in the future. So as I told you, we are benefiting also from the relation that we have with single countries, and we have to say that the relation improved very much with Singapore. It was already very strong, but it improved a lot with Vietnam due to all these activities that we had. And the high-level dialogue this year would have been with Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur, but of course we have to cancel due to the pandemic, but we are still working with them. And the only fact that we started to talk with them in the organization for the organization of the event helped us to strengthen our relations. And so we now we can say that also with the Malaysian institutions we have a very good relation. In the future, we see first of all the possibility for us to start concretely to put in place some of the activity that are included in the action plan related to the special partnership, and that will be somehow the roadmap of our job. But we are also following two different lines of development. The first one I already told you, in the sense of being more European, so to deal with the ASEAN region through the European institution, helping ourselves to be stronger and helping the European action to be stronger, because it's really mutually beneficial. And on the other side, we are starting a very interesting and promising cooperation at a level of cities, in the sense that the ASEAN cities are also very dynamic, very powerful, very interested in developing a cooperation with similar entities also in Italy. And so we are starting this cooperation starting from the municipality of Milan, which has already a lot of initiatives at international level, and that will be the other line of development of our activity, especially working with in this city diplomacy on all the big chapter of sustainability in all the different elaboration.
I see. You mentioned previously about the free trade agreements with Singapore and Vietnam, and there are obviously 4 more which have begun negotiations with other Southeast Asian states. How do you see those progressing? You spoke about the deals with your relationship with Malaysia, and obviously that is one of the countries where there is an FTA ongoing.
Yes, of course, on that, we are following what the European Commission is doing, trying to, we are pushing in the direction of going on and going farther with the relation with these countries. We welcomed the fact that also with Thailand, the Commission reopened the negotiation, and so I think it's another good sign on that. I hope that the signature of the RCEP could also give a boost for other negotiation that the European Union is having with this country. I see the conclusion of this huge ASEAN multilateral agreement as also a how to say alarm clock. No, how can we say it? Alarm. For the European Union to be more and more connected with all these countries. The fact that the European Union already concluded the agreement with Japan, with Singapore, with Vietnam, with Korea is demonstrate that the European Union had a visionary had a vision that is more and more confirmed but what is going on in the ASEAN region. And the fact that also the agreement with Australia and New Zealand are ongoing and are almost and are very mature, so to say, is another way of saying that the European Union saw well in had very good provision in which could have been the development in that area. Of course, I mentioned countries that are outside the ASEAN region, but of course, now it's important also for us to consider the ASEAN region not only an isolated part. But of course, it's important for us European to consider which network of connection the ASEAN is in, and the RCEP is of course one element in this bigger view that we need to take into consideration.
You spoke earlier about the institutional work that your organization and also the EU is doing with ASEAN. But I was speaking to the EU ambassador to ASEAN, Igor Dreisman, last week, and he noted in his words the visibility deficit of the EU in ASEAN, but how the EU is seen amongst the general public in ASEAN, and perhaps there's not that recognition of the EU's investment or aid or connections with the bloc. How do you see that progressing, and what kind of work can your organization do to increase the visibility of the EU in the region?
Yeah, you touched exactly the point that was underneath our strategic decision to be more and more present at European level, because I think that the role of organization like the one that we founded and where we work is exactly to help the European Union to be more and more present. I think that the program, the EU-ASEAN strategy is generally a good framework of activities, but of course they are not visible enough, and they are not yet deployed, completely deployed, and it's really important to push the European institution in that direction, and it's important that they shift a little bit their attention from having this relation only with China, because we realized year after year that other actors in the ASEAN region are more and more important, and it has been valuable the fact that the European Union concluded the agreement with Japan and Korea, but it's really important to and of course with Vietnam and Singapore, it's really important not to complete and not to consider completed the action of the European Union only with the conclusion of the FTA, which are dramatically important, but it's really important for the European Union to see more and more engagement, and for this reason I really hope that one of the other agreement ongoing, the negotiation ongoing, could soon be at a level of maturity, and it's foreseeable a conclusion of one of the other FTA with Malaysia or Indonesia, or we'll see. Mm-hmm. Because it's really important for the European Union to be more and more visible.
Speak a little bit about the role of climate change and environmental policy between EU and ASEAN. I believe Italy is going to be the co-president of the climate change conference next year, as I believe Italy is also going to be the president of a G20 next year. So quite a big year for Italian foreign policy. What can we expect in terms of environmental policy between the EU and ASEAN?
Yes, of course, the ASEAN region, as you perfectly know, is dramatically impacted by climate change. And so for that, all the issues related to sustainability, climate change, and everything that is related to that, and the changes that this could provoke are really at the core of the strategy. And it's not a case that this issue is always in all the strategic plans of the ASEAN, also of the ASEAN cooperation. On that, the European Union has a way of using its leverage, because of course, since the European Union is playing a huge role and has the championship on pushing forward the ambitions on that, I think that it's really it could be really crucial to have a connection on that specific issue. Mm-hmm. We have seen that this issue is also the way through which the relation with China improved. With all the problems on other aspects, the relation on climate has been the open door for the negotiation, and that really improved the possibility to reach some goal on that. So it's really important that the European Union and Italy in that can really play a huge role in moving this question, this topic at the top of our agenda for next year. And it's also for this reason that we are really trying to play this role also with different actors. As I told you, we are working and we have started to work with cities, and it's important that we work at a multi-level structure. Mm-hmm. So not only states, not only the European Union as a whole, but also cities, also companies, as in the framework that Emmanuel Macron introduced in dealing with climate change, because I really think that the multilateralism now can be defined, and we can have effective answers to the challenges that we are facing through a bigger involvement of different actors. And also on that, so I think it's important that in our relation with the ASEAN region, we talk with all the level of governance, the mm-hmm. ASEAN, the single countries, cities, and also private companies.
I see. And my final question before you would be that Germany has in September launched its Indo-Pacific strategy, and France had launched one beforehand. And I hear now that the EU is preparing their own specific Indo-Pacific strategy. Would you be able to talk about that?
We don't have yet this opportunity. And our idea is to be more and more proactive in pushing that with the European institutions. As I told you, our idea is really to bring what we developed in these years, and the fact that now Italy, together only with Germany and France, has this special relationship with the ASEAN region, give us also the responsibility and the duty to be more proactive and to put on the table our ideas in framing this strategy.
Okay, I see. Well, that is most of my questions for you today. I was wondering if there's anything you think we haven't touched upon which you would like to talk about.
No, I think that we mentioned more or less the most important things that on which we are working. Perhaps a very small, not small, a big one, but another thing that it's touched by the rest, but not explicitly mentioned, is the fact that there's another area on which we are trying to work on, which is the university cooperation and the research, cultural. So all these aspects are equally important. And they are important for two reasons. One, for the fact that, as we all know, relations are not only economic relations and are not only institutional relations or political relations. If you really want to cooperate and to get to know each other better and better, the only way is to work also on other aspects that are related to culture in general, research, and for this reason, we think that it's really important to push on that. And in our strategy as an association, the other area where we want to work a lot is on that. And the fact that we are starting to work with cities is another because it's another way, and perhaps is an easiest way to work on these topics. Second, it's really important to work at universities because we think that it's the youngest generation who need to be more and more involved on all the aspects that you mentioned, including climate change, where the youngest generation is more and more, much more involved and much more aware than the previous generations, for obvious reasons. And for this reason, I think that it's really important to stress also that point. We want and we try to involve the young generation in Italy, in Europe, and in ASEAN in connecting through different ways. And this could be the only way through which we can have innovative solutions, and through which we can have also the possibility to create a sustainable and structural relation.
I see. One very quick question regarding the universities. How does the Brexit and the UK leaving the EU affect the EU's ability to relate to universities in Southeast Asia, given the amount of work that the UK does in Malaysia and Singapore?
Yes, but on the other side, it can also be an opportunity for the other countries, because of course Brexit decided to take its own way, but as we all know, they are not anymore the entry door for other European Union countries. So they lost this important status somehow. So for us is a challenge, for all the rest of Europe is a challenge, but we are still together. And our point of strength is the fact that we are all together. So we can really play a role in being together. And for this reason, it's really important for us, and I continuously stress this point, it's really important for us as Italian, as French, and as German and Dutch, etc., to be strongly connected in a European vision, because our strength is to be Europeans. So for that, I think that we really can play an important role if we have these mindsets.